Hospital Porter's Pride and Dignity. Stop the New World Order. Welcome to HPANWO TV and welcome to this. It's another watch party. Now, watch parties are kind of like, they're actually something that I've only just started doing this year. In fact, the first watch party I actually did was in January, because if you remember, I did a watch party about Soylent Green, because, of course, 2022 was Soylent Green year. So I decided this was a time to actually do a watch party about the film, about the current year, and see how accurate it was. And I had the idea of doing it, and it kind of caught on, didn't it? And I think I've done about a dozen since then. I have. I've been doing them regularly, and this is another one. This is probably going to be the last watch party of the year. But we're into Christmas now, guys. I always think of it as we're into Christmas because today's the 2nd of December. So yesterday was if today's the 2nd of December, yeah. Shut up, trolls. Shut up, Steve mumbling. Yesterday was the 1st of December. I'm only kidding. And that's kind of when I allow myself to think in a Christmassy way. So this particular watch party is going to be about a Christmas film. Now, Christmas films. I mean, Christmas cinema is a kind of genre, isn't it? It's a kind of a. It is a subsection like science fiction, like romantic comedy and things like that. It is like a genre of cinema. And what's weird about this particular genre of cinema, indeed of literature in general, because we're not just talking about cinema here, we're talking about other art forms as well, such as the written word. There are many Christmas stories, not just like traditional ones, but modern literature, such as Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. And the numerous folk tales, of course, going right back to probably the original Christmas story, which of course is the Nativity of Jesus. But within the genre of Christmas, of Christmas fiction, literature, stories, it kind of encompasses all the other genres. So, for example, A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens is very obviously a ghost story. So it's a kind of a supernatural horror. And indeed, it's the same could be said for the adaptations of it. Obviously, it's a story about dream. It's kind of it's a surreal supernatural story about dreams and things like that. And but it's also about personal growth, personal transformation. The main character Scrooge is turned he's transformed from a very unpleasant man into a wonderful man. Things like that. So, and there's also, there are Christmas stories which you could call romantic comedies. There are romantic Christmas stories. There are Christmas tragedies. There's not many Christmas tragedies, I would say, apart from the film we're going to talk about today, which is very interesting. But there are Christmas comedies. There's like the Santa Claus and and Scrooged, which is with Bill Murray. That's a kind of modern interpretation of A Christmas Carol. So that's like a Christmas comedy. So the Christmas genre of fiction can encompass other genres as well. So the reason I keep looking to my right is I've got OBS working. I'm doing the setup I did before. It seems to work quite well, and I'm back in my studio area, but using the webcam and the mic rather than the portable, than the GoPro. By the way, do you like my new studio area? It's changed slightly, hasn't it? I've got a new Boudica picture, see? That one there. That was a birthday card sent to me by a good friend of mine that I've converted into a Boudica picture to go underneath the one made by the Crafty Nihilist. It's good, isn't it? Yeah, so that's the kind of the Christmas movie. Now, Christmas movies, the classic Christmas movie is, I suppose, along the lines of Scrooge. It has an element of, I think it gives that kind of, there's something called Christmassy, the kind of Christmassy feel, which is generally about, it can be summed up by the classic Christmas greeting: peace on earth and goodwill to all men. Many Christmas stories are about redemption. They're about recovery from sadness and from grief, as in the film Jack Frost. And yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus. That's another good one. They're about. They usually have happy endings about things turning out all right for people that wasn't before. Very often at the end of it, you see your families get back together, parents and children reunite, couples get back together, that sort of thing. Because of Christmas, you know, because there's a kind of Christmassy feel, which I suppose is very much American. We don't, on my side of the Atlantic, we don't really go in for it so much, but there's this kind of sentimentality associated with Christmas. You know, you see, you see the people, you see like the couple that haven't spoken for a while, or the two brothers or the friends who haven't spoken for a while, and they walk down the street and you hear sleigh bells and there's snow on the ground and there's a Christmas tree there, and they look up and they say, "Wow," and they look at each other, they realise that they still have an affinity for each other. And it's moving, you know, when with that sort of thing, you know. It's like I'm starting to feel moved now because it is. I'm not immune to this sort of thing, even though I'm a Brit. I'm not immune to that sort of thing. And there are some moving Christmas tales. I mean, Christmas Carol is very moving. You know, when Scrooge turns nice at the end, it's like really, really. It is a kind of like it's an emotional moment. He has this kind of like complete. He's born again, and everyone can't believe it. Everyone's really stunned, and he's delighted by the surprise that he gives people. He's delighted at the very surprise he causes, you know. Yeah, and sorry, I'm just thinking about this Christmas thing I saw when I was a kid. There's a story I watched when I was a kid. It's called The Bear Who Slept Through Christmas. I think it's called The Bear Who Slept Through Christmas. Anyway, it's a cartoon series about a bear, and the bears, as you know, hibernate during the winter. And these are anthropomorphic bears who live in houses and things like that. And one bear decides to stay awake because he's heard this thing about something called Christmas, which is in the middle of the winter, that none of the bears see because they're always hibernating. So he forces himself to stay awake. And he thinks it's a place, and he goes looking for Christmas. And he meets up with this other, I think it's another animal, I don't know, it's a polar bear or something. And he says, "Where's Christmas?" And this is an American cartoon. "I'm looking for Christmas." And the polar bear says, "I'll take you to Christmas. I'll show you where Christmas is." And he takes him back to the bear's house, and he says, "Hang on a minute, this is my own home." And he says, "Yes, Christmas is in there. Christmas is in there with those that you love, your wife, your children, your mum and dad." That's very American. It's very American. It's very sentimental, things like that. But Christmas films are, I suppose Christmas films are something. For example, I mean, the thing about Christmas movies, and new ones come out every year. You can only really enjoy them, I think, at this particular time of year. I can only really watch Christmas movies at Christmas, and that includes my favourite, which is It's a Wonderful Life, which is, I suppose, is a film. It is a film with a universal kind of theme, which you can really, I suppose you could enjoy it any time of the year. I have watched it outside the Christmas season. Most of the film takes place, as you know, as a flashback, and indeed in a parallel universe, which is very interesting. It's only the denouement, the climax of the film, that takes place in the Christmas period. But you know, I've reviewed that film. I actually went to see it on the big screen. I had a chance to see it at a local cinema, which was showing it at a local art house flick place. And I went to see it. There's a video actually. Do I need to put a link in the description box? Maybe I will if I remember. Anyway, guys, that's Christmas cinema is a thing. It's a mostly American thing, but it can be found everywhere, and it's something that I do like. I'm fond of many Christmas movies. I sit down and I feel all warm and cozy when I watch them, and I feel emotional myself sometimes when I watch them. This film, so even though Christmas movies encompass many other genres and many other styles of filmmaking, both technical and on a conceptual level, there is something called the definitive Christmas film, and no amount of mixing can actually change that. Mixing with other genres. So It's a Wonderful Life probably mixes most with other genres. However, it is still a Christmas film. There are some films I would say are not Christmas films, which do take place in the Christmas season. And that, I would say, would include Eyes Wide Shut. Now, Eyes Wide Shut, I've also done a review. I went to see it on the big screen too, at the same cinema. I saw It's a Wonderful Life, and I did a roving review of it. Eyes Wide Shut is a film which takes place in the Christmas season. It's not a Christmas film, though, and this is important. A Christmas film is not just one that takes place during Christmas time. There are certain themes in the film connected to Christmas which have to be present. Eyes Wide Shut does not have those themes. I don't know, I can't think of another example actually of a Christmas film, something that's set at Christmas which is not a Christmas film. Maybe Die Hard. Die Hard, the film with the action movie with Bruce Willis, that's also set at Christmas, but it's not a Christmas film. The Poseidon Adventure, again, it's about a Christmas cruise that goes wrong when the ship capsizes. Again, not a Christmas movie, though. I can't think of any others off the top of my head. Now, the film I'm going to talk about today, I've taken a long time to get there because I'm giving you a lot of background. This is an introduction. My watch parties are in 3 parts. There are 3 videos connected to each watch party. The first one is an introduction where I actually tell you about the film and introduce it on the technical side of things. The second is the review, which I do after a little while because I want to give you, the viewer, a chance to watch the film yourselves before we have the review. And the third part is the live stream, where we have a live discussion about the film. Now, this particular film is a Christmas film. I'm going to talk about the subject of this watch party, which I've spent ages and ages getting, rambling about and beating about the bush giving you the background into Christmas cinema. And it has a very Christmassy name. It's called Silent Night, after the tune Silent Night, and the famous Christmas Carol that is actually I can't actually remember if it actually appears in the film, even though I've watched this film before, whether the actual musical, the piece, the Silent Night Christmas Carol, actually appears. I think it does at some point. I'll tell you during the review anyway. But this is a 2021 Christmas film, and so it's only from last year. It's quite very recent. It is it's quite a low budget film. It's who's the distributor? It's distributed by Altitude, so it is actually released AMC RLJE Films in the United States. So it's kind of an independent film. It's not actually a big Hollywood blockbuster. So as a result, it's quite low budget. Most of the cast are not A-list actors and actresses, with the exception of Keira Knightley. But this film was actually directed by someone called Camille Griffin, and this is her debut. This is her first film, and it's actually quite an ambitious. It's an ambitious project for a director's first feature film, I must say. And how good a job she does, I'll tell you more about in the review. I'll tell you more about this in the review. But this is something. Now I have to thank. I'm switching between. I'm using my phone for my notes, guys. I have to thank Jamnoy72 for this, because it was actually last year. I got an email out of the blue from Jamnoy72 saying, Ben, you've got to watch this film. You've got to watch it. And I said, what is it? I said, it's called Silent Night. You've got to watch it. And she immediately induced me. I mean, she recommended it so strongly. I immediately went and watched it. I thought, wow, that's quite something. I mean, Jamnoy72 is someone whose judgment I respect, and I went and watched it. And well, I'll say more about what I thought about it in the review. But if Jamnoy hadn't told me about this, I may never have found out about it. It was on limited release. This film. It didn't appear in every cinema. It wasn't widely advertised on TV, and well, not that I watch TV much anyway, but it wasn't as widely advertised as a lot of movies. So this is quite an interesting film indeed. So I'm flicking between pages here, ladies and gents, so please excuse me. I'm using my phone for notes. So Camille Griffin is not she doesn't have a Wikipedia page. On her IMDb page, this is literally the only entry on it. So presumably before what she was doing, presumably she may have gone to film school or something like that. I mean, you can't just suddenly appear out. No one can just suddenly come up and say, "Oh, I'm going to direct a movie today," and just suddenly get hold of a camera, get hold of a budget, get hold of a cast and things like that, and start directing. No, there needs to be some process leading up to it. I'm curious about what that process was. So one of what we can say is one of the main characters actually is her son. Now, this is what's interesting about this. What's interesting about this particular film, and I'll say more about this in the review, is that a lot of the main characters are young children, and that does takes like a lot of. It is a challenge when you are making a film where children are the main characters. Not all of them. I mean, there's people of all ages. There's people from sort of young youth to middle age within this particular film. There are a large number of characters actually. There were no sort of like supporting or smaller roles. They're all major roles within this film. But you have like three of her children. There's Hardy and Gilby Griffin Davis, who play two of the children, and the main young actor is called Roman Griffin Davis, who plays a boy called Art, who is the son of Camille Griffin and her husband Ben Davis. So she stars her own children in the cast, which I suppose, like, if you're a new director and it's probably not a bad idea actually. It's probably not. You have children and they have acting skills. It's probably not a bad idea. I mean. If I was a film director, my own daughter actually has a level 3 diploma in dramatic arts, which she's never used, but she did to go to college and get a level 3 diploma. If I decided to make a movie one day, I would actually I would encourage her to be in the cast. I tried to get her into Capel Green at one point. But well, I'm not going to go into details about it. But basically, she wasn't up for that. But anyway, as I said, all these characters kind of there's none that are more important than the others. They all star, and there's a large number of them. There's like about a dozen of these characters. The only well-known actress is Keira Knightley. Keira Knightley is an A-list Hollywood star who has a filmography as long as your arm. I mean, she's not very old. She's only about 30, I think. But she's been filming since she was a teenager, and she's hardly out of the studio. I think she's got like 100 movies or something she's been in. And she does a lot. She actually does several independent films, not just this one. She's done quite a number of independent films, as well as Hollywood blockbusters. So I don't know, it's a bit patronising to say this, but she's one of these top actresses who likes to slum it a bit. She slums it. I'll tell you something. Someone told me something about Keira Knightley. Someone I know who's sort of inside the movie industry. I don't want to. I'm in touch with a couple of people who in the entertainment business. It's inevitable. I mean, I am an A-list conspiratorial celebrity myself, so. There is a little bit of crossover between the mainstream and the conspiratorial side of things. Yes, I'll autographs £5. All right. But Keira Knightley was in a film. I don't know what the film is. I've never seen it, but apparently there's a film that involves like S&M bondage type sex and stuff like that. Right. And apparently, when she was researching the role, she went out and engaged in a bit of that herself. In other words, I respect this. You know, as a person who watches movies, I respect people who do this sort of thing. To go to, and actors and actresses have to do this. They have to research their own roles, and sometimes they have to do things. They have to do unusual things in order to get their particular role right. And we know, for example, that Renée Zellweger. She deliberately put on weight in order to play Bridget Jones, which is something she probably wouldn't have enjoyed. She's a slender woman. In all her other films, she has a natural figure. She's like many women who are slender. She's probably quite proud of her figure, of her looks. But she deliberately put on weight to play a slightly overweight woman. And there's other examples of that. There's some actors and actresses have to You know, I think one of them learned. Who was it who learned to drive a train? Oh, well, yeah, Lewis Collins, the best James Bond we never had. He did the Special Forces training course with the British Army. He passed it as well because he was in something called Who Dares Wins, which is, you can get on YouTube actually. It's an action movie about Special Forces, and he did the Special Forces training course and he passed. And he was only doing it to research, but he ended up passing the course, which is quite an achievement because it really pushes you to your physical limit. This course. Someone had to drive. Who was it who learned to drive a train? I can't remember. An actor, famous actor, learned to drive a train. Who was it? I can't remember. Anyway, that's just some examples of what you got to do. Anyway, Keira Knightley. So I'm rambling a bit today. I'm rambling a bit. Keira Knightley went out and she basically got involved in S&M bondage just to research this role. Now she didn't prostitute herself or anything like that, but she got someone basically to beat her bare bottom with something, a whip or something. That's the rumor I heard, that she did that. Now that's not wide. I don't think that's widely publicized. But if it's true, if it's a true rumor, then my answer, my response to that is not shock or horror. It's respect. Good. If she's going to play a role and it involves that kind of thing, she's gone to enormous lengths to research the role, even to the point where she's probably not the kind of girl who would do that sort of thing normally. You know, well, maybe she is, I don't know. But she doesn't strike me as the kind of woman who'd be into that sort of thing. I know some women are, some men are. They like having their bottoms whacked with whips and other implements and things like that. It's erotic for them. I'm not, by the way. I'm not me. But some people are, of course. But that's just an example I'm talking about. So Keira Knightley is the only, I think, A-list thespian in this particular cast. There's the children who are there's Roman Griffin Davis, and Hardy and Gilby Griffin Davis, who are the children of the Camille Griffin, the director, and her husband Ben Davis, her husband actually is like a director of photography or cameraman, a camera supervisor or something like that. So they work within the movie industry, which may be how I'm speculating that maybe that's how this film came about, but because both of them are involved in the movie industry. And the rest of the cast are people. Some of them I recognise by sight. It's one of these. You get these actors and actresses, right? And everyone knows them when they see them, but no one can remember their name. I saw one the other day. Actually, I've not seen for ages. It was Richard Hope. Now, Richard Hope, I learned his name for the first time. He was in this 1899 thing, which I watched. I reviewed it on HPANWO Voice. And he's the actor. As soon as I saw him, I said, I know who that guy is. He's been in like 100 things I've seen since I was a little kid. What's his name? So I looked it up, and his name's Richard Hope. And if you look him up, just put Richard Hope, just choose images. Put Richard Hope, actor, and then put image. And you will see him, and you'll say, oh, him, I know him, yes. He was in this, he was in that. Yeah, but I knew him because he's been in children's programs since I was a little kid. But a lot of the adult actors, apart from Keira Knightley in this, are people like that. They're people I recognised. I saw them and I thought, I've seen that guy somewhere before. I've seen that girl somewhere before. And when you see them, you'll recognise, you'll know them. And you look them up, you'll find out. Now there's this guy called Matthew Good. He's an actor who has been in Confessions of an Ugly Stepsister. Woody Allen's Match Point. I didn't know Woody Allen was still directing. He's been in quite a few things. He's been in a lot of remakes and things like that. Go away! I'm getting ads here. So he's in it. Annabelle Wallis, who she's in Peaky Blinders. There is Lily Rose Depp. Now she's like a French actress, and she's she's no relation to Johnny Depp, incidentally, by the way. Oh no, sorry, she is. She's actually. Oh, pardon me. She's the daughter of Johnny Depp and Vanessa Paradis. Oh right, sorry, pardon me. She is Johnny Depp, of course, is the actor. Vanessa Paradis is a French singer. Kirby Howell Baptiste. That's actually a woman, despite her name. Now she was in something called Why Women Kill, which is quite a well-known drama series. Sope Derisu, and I hope I pronounced that correctly. He's been in. He's got a Nigerian name because his family come from Nigeria, but he's been in anything I've seen. I don't. Yeah, he was in Utopia, right? Which one? He was in the original. He was in Utopia, right? That's interesting. Yeah, he was. Now I've discussed Utopia before, as you know, in my little review of that film. I shall. What shall I say? Better be careful not to say the real name. Expired Without Warning. He was. Utopia comes up in that, doesn't it? He was in that, which is interesting. I don't want to say too much, considering the subject matter of this film, which I'll say more about in the review. But he's in Black Mirror as well. So he's in his now. The same year Sophie Derisu did this film, he was in his Dark Materials. Now I've not watched that because it's an adaptation of Philip Pullman's trilogy, the Dark Materials trilogy, and I've seen the trailer and it's all full of usual woke BBC shit, so I'm not going to watch that. I love that. I'm going to watch the books. There's quite a good film made of the Amber Spyglass, the Northern Lights, or the Golden Compass. That was quite good. I'm not going to watch the rest. Rufus Jones. He's been in. What's he been in? Let's have a look. Again, things I remember. Yeah, things I remember. He's been in. He was in Doctors. He was in. Ooh. Oh, no, I don't watch enough TV. It's a problem. Well, maybe that's a good thing. I don't know. And there's Lucy Punch. Now, I will say more in the review, but I think she's actually. I think she gave one of the best performances in this. And I won't do reviews in the introduction, but she gave a fantastic performance in this film. She's been in Hot Fuzz. Yeah, that's good. That's a good one. That's it. Yeah, she was in Centrinians. That was Centrinians. La 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 la. Oh, she's in Midsummer Murders. Oh, all these other things I'd never watched. She's been in Game of Thrones. Yeah. You are looking at someone who's never, ever watched an episode of Game of Thrones in my entire life. Alright, guys, so, that's it. Alright, yes, going back to Keira Knightley, it's interesting how you get these crossovers about how things that I like, things that are HPANWO West, that have themes in, which are relevant to this YouTube channel and relevant to HPANWO TV and the HPANWO franchise in general, they seem to occur together. You get the same people involved in them. Keira Knightley was in this film called Never Let Me Go. Now, I've actually reviewed that. I don't know if did I do a video about it? I might have done one of my old VidMe videos about it before VidMe collapsed. If so, then I preserved it because I'll have uploaded it to YouTube and other sites. But there's something. She was in a really good film called Never Let Me Go, which is based on a novel, and is it's about parallel universes. And she was in that as well. So it's interesting she's now in this. Now it's a bit of a sign of the times, but I couldn't help noticing when I looked into the background of this particular film that they had on it a COVID safety team. Now this is just, I suppose, inevitable. This was made in this was released in 2021, so it was probably in production through that year, and they had a COVID safety officer and several other COVID safety professionals. Presumably this was to check up that they needed special permission to remove their bloody masks or something like that. I don't know. Something like that. But I suppose that's inevitable. It's a sign of the times. If you remember from Moment of Contact, of course, James Fox and his team had to wear masks in the airport and places and things like that. So I'm afraid there's going to be a large number of films made in that period, probably ones that were released around about now or just before now, that were made during the COVID period, where you're going to get that. You're going to get that, unfortunately. So that's it, guys. Just checking through my notes one more time. I've got everything. Yes, I have. Many thanks to JamNoise72 for recommending this to me a year ago. I would have probably done a watch party sooner, except it is a Christmas film, so I waited till Christmas. It's what's going to happen now is there's going to be a review, and I'm not going to do it straight away. It probably won't be my next video, but I'm going to give you a little. I'll give you some time to watch this film. And so you go away, watch it. It's actually not hard to watch. It has proliferated, if you know what I mean. Now you can get it on Amazon Prime though. I mean, I actually originally rented it on Amazon Prime. It was only $1.99. Now I've actually bought it this time. I mean, I looked again, and it's last year the purchase price was about $7.99, rental $1.99. This year it's like $3.99. So I thought, what the hell? I might as well just bloody buy it rather than rent it again. I might as well just buy the bastard. So I bought it. I say bought it. It's on. If you want to really buy a film these days, you've got to get the DVD. So you've got to get physical media, DVD, VHS if you're really that old-fashioned, or some kind of portable media, because things online can just be censored at any moment. Things online can just vanish at any moment. So go away. I'm not going to give you advice on how to watch this film. I'm certainly not going to breach. I'm going to respect the filmmaker's copyright by not recommending you any place you can watch it without paying for it. However, it's not really a secret to say this film has proliferated, like all of them have, onto all kinds of platforms. As a writer myself, I like to pay for what I'm watching. So $3.99, it's a bargain. It's a pint of lager at a cheap pub, and it's go and watch it on Amazon Prime is my recommendation. And what we'll do is when the time comes for the review, I'll give you the review, and then this will all happen before Christmas. There will be a watch party live stream. Now this is why I'm not going to leave it too long, actually, because I have other plans for the Christmas period for HPANWO TV. I will do a video on Christmas Day if I get drunk enough. I'm also going to do a 10-year special anniversary for the Mayan calendar 2012 thing, which will be on the 21st of this month, the winter solstice. Because, it's, of course, 10 years since the big day, if you remember. And I want to just talk about what you think happened. Did anything happen? Was it just a flash in the pan? Things like that. So, guys, go forth and watch. I'll be back soon with another video, and probably at some point, not too long in the future, I'll give you a review of Silent Night, a 2021 film by Camille Griffin, written and directed by Camille Griffin, starring Keira Knightley and all those other people you recognise but have never heard of, and her kids. Yeah, and her kids. So, thanks for watching HPANWO TV. If I don't see you again before the Christmas, which I hope I will, have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Hospital Porters, pride and dignity. Stop the New World Order.